in the break. Keep going. Let's go back to him. Keep going there, Steve. Ask your third question. I got to let you go to answer all those.
Yeah. The nihilistic art, Alan said, was funded by the CIA. I'm not doubting what you're saying. I'm just wondering, is that written down anywhere?
Let me tell you, and we'll get where he says it. There's hundreds of places. The Washington Tech editor 7-8 years ago on the show said that the government was funding implantable chips, body modification, body mutilation to get you ready for cybernetics. Alan Watt?
Yeah, that is true. And the barcodes, too. We saw pictures in airports even of guys with shaved heads and barcodes and all of that kind of stuff. That's part of the nihilism.
They have smart card ads with a hand on a big billboard with clear plastic with a chip in it. It's everywhere. The conditioning is everywhere.
And I'll be putting out a series on the declassified information from the CIA and MI5 on this very topic in the next few weeks.
Yeah, but sir, you had another thing about Newt Gingrich and Alvin and Heidi Toffler and their series of books. Gingrich writes about them in his books. I've read 2 of his books, and he also, back when I had time to do such things a decade ago, he also has talked about them in speeches.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey, thank you both very much for the work that you do.
What was the other question?
Oh, well, I was asking about the Wired It was just the Wired magazine where you'd mentioned the Marshall. You had said that the title was the Marshall Plan.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Hey, well, thanks again.
Thank you. I really appreciate your call. At a certain point, Alan, we're here documenting everything we say. How many lies has government been caught in? How many times have they been caught carrying out chemical, biological, lethal tests, killing citizens, killing troops, murdering people? They're illegitimate. They're bankrupt. They're criminal. At a certain point, it's kind of like police when they catch some serial killer and they dig up 40 bodies and they find out he's killed 10 more. They still just charge him for those 40 and give him the death penalty for that. At a point, it's kind of like, why are we even having to sell this to people? I guess because they're mesmerized.
They're mesmerized. They've been given a false reality, mainly through fiction and drama on television. It was Jacques E. Lowell, who in the 1950s, who was one of the top sociologists, and he understood human nature very well. He worked for the big boys. He said that people don't realize that every cop drama or movie is pure propaganda. Same with all military movies. They are pure propaganda.
Well, here's one layer of that. On cops, everybody's guilty. They only show you the white trash scum. And so the image of the public is scum, who are all criminals. The image of the cops is guys who always get their man and who are good.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. We're going back live. Main transmission right now. More calls straight ahead right now.
We're online now.
Continuing with your calls with Alan Watt. Alan, I want you to, before you leave, we're going to plug his website and get some of his books and videos. Excellent stuff. Alan, flesh out how the sociologists and top propagandists admit all the cop shows are brainwashing tools. And then I use the example of, on the show Cops, they only show you the white trash scum who's guilty. They always look like hell. The cops are good guys, always get their man. The image is the public's white trash, degenerate scum. The police are gods and angels. And it's admitted total propaganda to brainwash us. Meanwhile, the government ships in the narcotics, runs all the major black ops, but the public still is bombarded with that false image.
Yes, and Britain led this field of using fiction and drama to alter the perceptions of people, to accept authority figures and actually elevate them up into special positions of being almost superhuman, as though these cops and the detectives and the dramas came from different wombs and did it all out of altruistic intent. And nothing is further from the truth. Police comprise a paramilitary army within countries whose job it is to serve their bosses by any and every means possible, and they will obey any order they are given This has been proven time after time when countries have been invaded in the past.
Exactly. I want you to talk about that. But best example was the parish police chief of New Orleans. His mother was calling him on the cell phone for 5 days in a nursing home flooded, begging for help. And even the police chief, ordered by the feds, even though he had jurisdiction, let his mother die. I mean, and he cried about it, but his God was the feds, the drug-dealing, child-kidnapping feds. His mother had to die.
Yes. And police, law is another thing, too. We're trained through all these fictional dramas and movies where they give you a human story. We get hooked on the human drama. We identify with the characters. And we're being brainwashed all through the movie. And we forget, as I say, that police will enforce any law that comes along the pike. They will do it and say they're just doing their job. And if that means leading you to the wall to be shot, that will be so as well. That's been proven time after time after time. We should not be worshipping people who are there to serve society, and that's been forgotten. All these institutions are supposed to be public servants.
And these institutions, one crime they committed that is declassified of thousands in the same area was radiating 4,300 and something. Atomic Energy Commission, the federal government, has all the documents. I put links to it. It's covered in Endgame. Whatistheendgame.com is a full bibliography where a great volunteer put together where every claim we made is right there. Imagine, the steel will to take 4,300 and something in one program, toddlers from their parents, and murder them. And those army doctors murdered those children one after the other, and then they were promoted, larger cadres. And that's one program of thousands. But the government's good. They wouldn't carry out 9/11, Alan, would they?
And that's it. The amazing thing with even 9/11 is the fact they needed the event to happen in 2001, because 2001 was one of their occultic years, and Arthur C. Clarke, Brady's novel in the 60s about 2001, and gave us an occultic story that people think was about space, but it wasn't. It was a Masonic story, if you follow it.
And something beautiful was going to happen then.
Something beautiful, and that's the term that they still use at the top in their big speeches. And, of course, we saw that Daddy Bush praised, he talked about he mentioned the coming New World Order on September 11th, 1990, and then gave the following speech a year later, same date, on coming into view. And it would be a New World Order under the rule of law. Law was going to be the big stick to help bring it in. And then, of course, we had Brzezinski and others talking about...
The rule of law, not the law of the jungle.
Yep.
If we're successful, and we will be.
Yes. And then you have the big players talking about a Pearl Harbor event being necessary to moat the public behind them for a major war. And bingo, to get their wish.
That's what I wanted to ask you, Alan. Why do you think, we know he's a CFR architect, wrote the Homeland Security Plan, Gary Hart, would publish a letter saying the U.S. government stages terror attacks, Iran, you better do what we say. Don't think because 80% of the public's against attacking you, we won't. We will stage events. And then we went and interviewed him. It's in the film. We are changed it. It's in the film. The new film I just released that just now came out, Truth Rising, folks. That needs to be gotten out to folks. I mean, it's a solution. People that are asking, and he just says, "Yeah, our government stages terror attacks," and that's what I said. I mean, now they're almost just saying it out in the open now. Why are they doing that?
Because they're so arrogant. It's a psychopathic trait. They live on ego. Psychopaths live on ego, and they do love to boast how they pulled off some real fast, huge con. They love to boast. It's very hard for them to contain their cleverness to themselves. They love to boast about how clever they are. Now, Gary Hart also is on tape. You probably have it. Right after 9/11, talking to the CFR, and he says, we can use this tragedy to our advantage, to what Bush's father talked about and called the New World Order. So they use misfortunes, which they also create, but they also use other ones to fall into their path. They use all great catastrophes to their advantage.
And they always believe when they tell the truth, they have to add a lie. Bill Clinton, Gary Hart, all of them always say